Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Zach. This is the Monster Garden where I do readings with my original cards. I made tarot-inspired cards, but using characters from my game Monster Garden. And you don't need to have played the game to understand the readings. I'll explain everything as I go. But the topic for this reading was suggested by a viewer. It was, what does growth look like for you? So the idea is that everyone's situation is different, everyone needs different things, and so growth might look really different for different people. For one person, it might be doing more of something. For someone else, it might be doing less of the very same thing. It's just we're all in different situations. But this is what you could expect in your situation, just to help give you an idea of how things could be different, because I think that a lot of times changing or growing or whatever starts with your imagination. So being able to imagine what could be different, what growing could look like for you, can help make that process get started or move along, I think. So that's the topic of this reading. If you're new to Pick a Card readings, there's just 3 decks, and you're going to choose the one that feels like it's calling your name or is pulling you, and then go in the description box and there'll be timestamps for each deck, and you can click on the one for your deck and then it'll take you to that part of the video with your reading. So we've got deck 1 with this yellow keychain. I just used some colored keychains this time. Deck 2 with red. And then deck 3 with blue. So just take a moment now. You can pause the video if you need to. Try to feel which deck is the one for you, and then click on your timestamp, and I'll see you in your reading. If you chose deck 1 with the yellow keyring, this is your reading. So I'm going to do 9 cards. Need some extra room for all these cards. So this is more cards than I usually do. This is a lot. I think the basic strong message of this is kind of letting go of all this pressure on yourself, and that growth for you would look like embracing time for yourself. This is a really basic message, but it can also be kind of difficult. Just taking time for yourself with none of this outside pressure on yourself to do certain things or be a certain way. So I feel like this main center line, I'm trying to look at these spreads in terms of like lines and corners and stuff. Mr. Bobo is listening to your inner voice, doing the things that are just right for you. And this center of attention card can be kind of being in the public eye, or trying to, in the reverse, I think it can be kind of doing what other people want you to do, or letting other people's attention, or letting that guide you as opposed to you guiding them. But also just feeling like you have to be, you know, performing for others. That's very much a performing card, about being the MC of a party. In reverse, that can be, in this case, I think it's not putting that pressure on yourself to be a performer, not feeling like you have to do enough to impress other people or put on a good show. And baby, this card in reverse is about distractions. Baby in the upright position is just a playful, fun-loving monster that wants to spin around, have fun here and there, meet different monsters, have a good time, not thinking about the long term. But in reverse, I feel like it's a card of distractions, just your attention jumping here and there, not being focused. So I think these things can be a distraction. Like maybe you have some time to yourself finally, but you're just thinking the whole time, what should I do to impress other people? What can I do in this time that will prove to other people this or that? What can I do during this time that will like look good or sound good to other people? So the key message of this, that's kind of one distraction actually. I feel like this baby card is the center anchor of the reading. More distractions are here, of like feeling that you have to do a thorough and complete good job, or have all these reserves of strength. This is a card about kind of having superhuman strength that's very deeply rooted, and this is a card about taking very precise action. So it's kind of a combination of this strength and taking action based on it. But that can be another like pressure on ourselves that distracts us from taking time for ourselves, to feel like we need to take action, we need to be strong and move forward and take precise, very effective action. That can be like another distraction that prevents us from like listening to our own inner guide and doing what would actually be just healthy for ourselves, or stops us from listening to ourselves. Like taking precise action and being strong and being the center of attention are all perfectly good things, but those can become kind of like toxic distractions where you never let yourself just have time just for yourself, where you're not kind of expecting yourself to perform. So I feel like there's a lot of distractions, and being freed from these distractions is what growth could look like for you. And taking time really just for yourself, where you're just listening to yourself, not to other people. Kind of calm, focused time. Every card in here is reversed except for Mr. Bobo and the Q card, and this is interesting. Q is this reformed bully character that decides to make a big life change to just move towards healing instead of being a harsh bullying character. So it's about a new direction, but also a new direction that's better for this character. It's about being nice to others instead of being mean to them, but it's also because that's what's best for this character that it realizes at a deep level. It's kind of doing what's right for it instead of caving to this, in a sense, like the bullying other monsters is a result of this monster being scared or feeling like it needs to be defensive or prove other monsters wrong. So it's really taking a self-focused new healing step, kind of free from all these outside pressures that can just prevent you from doing that. And it's interesting you got Tukas reversed as well, because this is a character about taking downtime, quitting his job as a booty biker boy, serving a boss, to instead take time just for himself to discover who he really is. But this is more a card of not really knowing and taking downtime to kind of discover a new passion or new interest that then leads to a journey. So it's still like a very, very early stage, a childlike card about beginning a new journey. But I feel like that can be another kind of distracting pressure to feel like you need to discover this passion, or you need to discover something that's going to take you on a journey. That can be another kind of unhealthy pressure. I feel like there's just so many things you're putting on yourself you need to be doing, but really for you what growth would look like is not beginning a new journey or being so strong or being in the public eye. It's just having time just for yourself, just doing something that feels right for you, and just embracing the feeling of just being you, just really basic alone time outside the public eye, just in your own space, just for you. Is this interesting on the top line? Again, with the Mr. Bobo, it's about your guide on a journey, but also about your inner voice of what's right for you. But on the sides, you've got Tukas and Sparkling Seedling, and like I was saying about Tukas, the Sparkling Seedling card is also about beginning a new journey. So each level of my game is kind of represented by a seedling. Each one represents a whole new world of discoveries and growth and movement. But that can be kind of, in a sense, another scary, intimidating distraction, like with the Tukas of having to start a new journey, having to discover a new passion, having to meet new friends or whatever. All of that can just be another pressure that you put on yourself that prevents you from really just having time to yourself or enjoying being yourself. So that's kind of the top line message, is this getting free from the feeling that you need to be growing. It's funny because this reading's about growth and it says let's grow on the card, but that itself can be this pressure, like, oh God, I've got to grow and heal. What is that going to look like? What is that going to look like? If you're watching this reading, you might be wondering that, but in fact, grow. This is like a complicated meta message or something, but it's like growth could look like letting go of this feeling that you need to grow and start a journey, and just taking time just listening to yourself, not someone else's expectations, not these expectations of what growth is supposed to look like, just getting really in touch with yourself, to the point where it's not even about doing anything, just standing there feeling yourself. And then, like I said, the middle is this kind of escaping these distractions of needing to please others, or at the bottom, these distractions of needing to be strong and precise and efficient. And then again on this side, speaking of the precise efficientness, Friar is about getting things done, clearing the way, being very practical, by the book, and getting done all your to-dos. And with the precision card, that feels again like feeling like you need to be efficient and effective and get things done. maybe you feel like you need to grow in order to be more efficient and effective. And if you were grown and healing and had gone on some kind of journey of growth, then suddenly you could be all efficient and effective. But that kind of pressure on yourself can kind of prevent it from happening. So not feeling like you need to get any to-dos done. You don't have to go on a journey of becoming more efficient or force yourself to be more efficient or effective. It's just kind of, no matter which way you look at this reading, it's a message of just taking a moment just for you. No outside pressure to do anything. No distractions of feeling like you have to be a certain way, impress others, or get anything done. Just like taking time that's deeply like honest for you, true for you, and healing for you. Just taking a moment to like connect with yourself and figure yourself out. So in the end, it's just kind of a basic message of downtime, for you time, self-care time, but that's what growth could look like. So if you're getting this reading, I feel like you might be someone who, when you imagine growing or changing, you're thinking, I'll be so much more efficient then if I can just grow past these like broken parts of myself. Then I'll get so much done. Then I'll be able to go on these journeys, and then people will pay attention to me and like me, and then I'll be so strong. But in a sense, like putting off all of this time for yourself and putting off respect for yourself until after you've grown and become so efficient and amazing can kind of be a block towards like actually growing and healing and stuff. So I feel like that's the basic message of just having you time, connecting with you, and not feeling these pressures. Kind of escaping the pressure to perform. And so, not seeing it in terms of how you'll become so much better. Just kind of being with yourself now, how you are, could be a really new, healthy direction to grow in, as opposed to just focusing on how you perform better, go on more journeys, be more efficient, and be more strong. It's kind of not feeling those distracting pressures is what growth could look like for you. That's the message I'm getting from these cards. Since this one's at the center, it feels like a key thing could be about like impressing others, or also waiting for permission or approval from others before you can have this downtime. Feeling like you need to first get someone to tell you that you did good enough of a job, or be able to prove that you're strong now, and then you can relax and chill out or whatever. It's kind of in reverse. I think it can be like the toxically waiting for permission or approval before you do something, like judging yourself through other people's eyes. So since that's in the center, I feel like that's the core thing, and these are all ways that you can kind of be judged or be awaiting permission, like in terms of being strong enough, being efficient enough, growing enough, discovering your passion or something. All of those things can be actually pretty exhausting pressures to have on yourself, coming from this feeling of like you need to impress others or get some kind of permission for them. So then, with like the inner ring of this, it's like there's all these things are distracting you and kind of blocking you from actually moving forward. In terms of growing, this one can be about having a clear path forward that's unblocked, and in reverse, it can point to blocks and obstacles. So I feel like the distractions are kind of blocking you, and what you really need is just time to get in touch with yourself, listen to yourself, and just be oriented towards like healing and like growth, instead of all these distractions and blockages. So in conclusion, growth could look like really just doing nothing, standing there, feeling yourself, feeling the moment, just being you, feeling you, and doing you without any of these pressures, feeling free from all of these pressures to look a certain way and have your growth look and feel and be a certain way. So I hope that reading was interesting and helpful for you. I'm going to go on to the next pile, but if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe to my channel. Please leave a comment at the bottom if you found this accurate, or if you didn't. I'd love to see people's comments. And of course, if you want to learn more about the characters that you saw, please check out my game Monster Garden. I'll put a link to it in the description. I'm also on Patreon if you would like to look into supporting me and helping me work on these cards. And thank you again, and I'll see you in the next video. Hi, deck 2. If you chose the red keychain, this is your reading. So I'm trying a new spread this time. It's 9 cards, and then we can look at the different lines and diagonals on sides to kind of get different messages and perspectives on it. So I'll show you the cards as we go. We've got reversed love card. We've got Tinty, the broken and beautiful TV, upright. We've got Feb. She's the analytical, analyzing monster, in reverse. We've got Tifa, the time fairy. It says floating poet, upright. We've got Foofter, the gentleness for all monster, in reverse. We've got the knowing card in reverse. Gonna make some room for this reading. It's bigger than usual. We've got the Gatekeeper, Explore the Unknown card upright. We've got the Bobos upright. And we've got the Mel Revolution card in reverse. So I think the core message of this reading is just like, it's something about non-judgmentally getting to know the sides of yourself that you don't like or that you're scared of, or the quote-unquote like dark side of yourself. Like people talk about shadow work and stuff like that. It's like exploring and getting to know even these supposedly not nice parts of yourself, or parts of yourself you don't want to address or look at. I'm feeling like the key part of the reading is this corner, because we've got the Gatekeeper card, Explore the Unknown, which is about, in fact, this character is all about befriending monsters. So one way I like to think of monsters is like, you know, things that seem very scary. A lot of times monsters are portrayed as these terrifying things. But if you get to know them, you might see that they have their own reasons for being the way that they are. And so it's kind of a message of things that seem super scary, but then getting to know them and kind of turning these foes into friends. So like, everyone has these, you know, maybe sides of yourself that you don't like you get angry sometimes, and or you say or do hurtful things, but usually there's some reason for why you're doing that. And if you kind of explore that side of yourself, you can see where that, you know, negative emotion is coming from. And so that's combined with Tifa, who, she is this mysterious poet. She just lets things flow intuitively without really thinking or judging or knowing where it's coming from. It's very like intuitive and unknown. And we've got the Bobos that represent all the different sides of yourself, even the like impatient, childish sides, demanding sides, angry sides, all the funny little sides of ourselves. So this corner over here, I feel like is just getting some, like accepting all these sides of yourself and exploring them non-judgmentally, just letting yourself go on a journey, inward journey, and see what's there. The key card for the reading is Foofter, Gentleness for All. And in reverse, I feel like this can be kind of being afraid to do anything, because Foofter is this monster that wants to accept everyone and be gentle and nice to everyone. So I feel like the key theme is like just wanting to stick with the nice, comfortable, positive things. So all this weird, unknown, dark side is kind of scary to explore. And then down the right side of the reading, we've got the analyzing and assessing monster Feb in reverse. That's about like being really stuck in your head and trying to overanalyze everything. We've got the deep knowing card in reverse. And we've got the revolution card in reverse. It's like, this side is about, I feel like it's about being scared of like knowing or finding out too much, because then it might mean something terrible. Like in reverse, this revolution card is like being really demanding and really judgmental, and so is the Feb card. It's like wanting to turn away from this stuff you don't want to look at, because you might turn out to be a terrible person if you look too closely at yourself, and if you analyze it, you might prove that you're bad or something. So like this side of the reading is kind of turning off that judgmental side of yourself and not feeling like it's a proving ground or that you might suddenly know too much. It's just embracing the unknown aspect of it, just letting yourself see what's there. When you're feeling something, just kind of follow it, even if, you know, the feelings you're having or the thoughts you're having sound like something that's bad, like, no, I'm not supposed to think that, I'm not supposed to feel that. Just following it and seeing where it's coming from. In other words, like, people call this kind of stuff like shadow work or exploring your dark side. So I feel like that's kind of what it's about. It doesn't have to be so sinister, but just non-judgmentally trying to understand where this quote-unquote negative side of yourself is coming from, or the parts of yourself that you would rather pretend don't exist. Where are they coming from? What's causing them to be that way? And then probably it's just caused by your experiences and you being you, and it's not because you're some evil person. And then the top, again, with just kind of this vibe of not being judgmental, we've got Tinty, who is this broken and beautiful TV that just completely 100% accepts its weird self and kind of gives up on trying to change. It's just totally accepting how it is. In terms of just looking at the top row, it makes sense because Tinty is about not analyzing and assessing things. And then we've got the love card in reverse, but this is like the very strong power of love that's like pumping you up for change and encouraging you and supporting you. But Tinty kind of lacks that. It's just this kind of blah acceptance. But in a sense, maybe that could be a good thing. Or what change would look like is kind of blahly accepting all of your broken parts and actually exploring them and getting to know them rather than judging them or, you know, being afraid of things that are quote-unquote not positive. Because you got the two loving cards in reverse, Foofter, and the love card. It's like in reverse that is like, you know, things that are not loving, not positive. Maybe you have a side of yourself that's like, you know, intensely negative or angry or disliking something, and so you're thinking, oh, that's bad because that's like this not positive, not loving part of me. And I think the key thing is just non-judgmentally getting to know this side of yourself. You don't have to, I mean, in the course of getting to know it, you could heal things or grow or change, but it's not about going in thinking, oh, I've got to change myself, have a big revolution, and being scared of what you might find out. I think it's kind of, in a sense, Tinty's kind of fearless, just accepting how weird it is and putting itself out there in the world. So this center column is like kind of fearlessly just accepting yourself, all your weird little sides, without any trepidation or hesitation, which is what Foofter can represent in the reversed position. And again, I feel like this corner is just the key thing of just stepping into the unknown, this part of yourself that might seem like a scary monster or something, and just seeing what flows out when you follow this side of yourself. So, I don't know, for me, shadow work sounds kind of scary or sinister sometimes, but I think the point is that when you explore this seemingly dark side of yourself, you find it was just the flip side of something positive, like something that you needed, or a side of yourself you were scared to access, or something like that. I'm not a psychologist, so I won't try to explain things too deeply, but I think it's just a basic way about how we work, that, you know, there's some reason why we feel things, and a lot of it's just coming from basic human needs, or things that we experienced that taught us to be a certain way, not because we're, you know, pure evil on the inside. So I think accepting and exploring all sides of yourself, not judging yourself, and not being afraid of some revolutionary change or afraid of some side of yourself that's too negative or something. Finding some kind of fearless self-acceptance. It's so funny to call Tinty fearless. It's this very blah character just kind of walking around with its broken legs and clunky TV head. But in a sense, that is fearless. It's just total blanket acceptance, which can free you up to get to know these parts of yourself. When we're always judging ourselves, then it's like, no, that's the bad part of myself. I got to push that away. Don't act on that. Just do this good, positive stuff. But I feel like growth for you could look like embracing and exploring this supposed dark side of yourself, just treating it as unknown and trying to understand and explore it and see what happens when you follow this side of yourself, and getting to know all of your weird, quirky sides of yourself, including the sides of yourself that are negative or even, you know, destructive or negative tendencies, but understanding what's really going on there. Because this card is all about just accepting things how they are. You don't have to like act on these negative impulses or think that they are there forever or unchangeable or that you can't heal or grow. But this card's just about accepting things the way they are now, just walking up to this monster-like entity and just being like, okay, what are you like? Just kind of total acceptance of this unknown, scary thing. And in the process, it becomes less scary, it becomes a friend, and you can understand it more and be less controlled by it from knowing about it instead of pushing it away and being scared of it, which is how, you know, monsters are usually treated. So it's kind of, this is what my game Monster Garden is actually about, is exploring your inner monsterscape and these seemingly scary monsters or annoying monsters, kind of getting where they're coming from and accepting them, and then that kind of helps them each turn into a positive version of their self instead of like being stuck in this rejected negative state. So I hope that reading made sense and wasn't too much abstract or deep stuff, but I think the key message is just growth for you could look like, you know, going in and exploring yourself and not necessarily being filled with joy and fun every waking moment. I mean, that's what we usually think is a good thing. It's good to be happy and positive. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be happy or positive or that you won't be, but it could be taking some time just to kind of explore or understand negative emotions and where they're coming from, which of course in the long run that can lead to you being more, you know, calm and stable and confident and happy and all these good things. But not feeling like you have to be positive and happy and loving every waking second, not feeling like you have to judge yourself as good or bad and be afraid of finding out that you're quote-unquote bad or something. So it's a lot of self-acceptance, a lot of exploring your unknown sides. So I'm going to leave the reading here. I hope that helped. And if you liked it, please like and subscribe to my channel. Please leave a comment about how you felt about this reading. I would love to hear your feedback. And if you want to check out my game Monster Garden, which does feel a little bit relevant to this reading, there's a link in the description. There's also a link to my Patreon if you want to support me and the channel. I really appreciate it. And anyway, I appreciate that you watched the video, so thank you, and I'll go on to the next pile. Hi, pile 3. If you chose the blue keychain, this is your reading. So I'm trying a new type of spread today. It's 9 cards, just basic 9 cards laid out, and then we can look at the different lines and diagonals and try to see different connections and relationships to try to get a message. So I feel like the basic overall message of these cards, and I'll go through each one in a minute, is just something about, well, the central card is Doofter, who is this monster with extremely high standards who demands that everyone meets his standards and be good enough to be friends with him. So I feel like a big message of this is just like letting go of any expectations and being able to just have fun in the moment and just then let it go afterwards, no expectations or not having to achieve anything or prove anything. For some reason I'm getting really fun vibes from this reading. Like I feel like a big part of it is like being able to have more fun and joy and delight just by like letting things just be simple and pointless and fleeting in the moment and not expecting them to be a big deal. So I feel like we've got this interesting dynamic of this big corner and then these 4 little cards clustered, because these are all reversed and they're very intense ones. It's like reverse Doofter is about having really high standards, demanding so much from other people that it prevents you from you know, having a friendship or whatever. Drizzy is this really big picture, this is all just a game, almost nihilistic, really big picture thinking. This is the Take the Lead card. In reverse, again, it's like a unwelcome leader or trying to exert too much authority. and the blue men are these data collecting little floating men from the game. But in reverse, it's kind of like being very distant and just collecting data for a higher purpose. I feel like this is all the stuff you can kind of leave behind. It's because they're all in reverse, and they're all very intense, like controlling big picture. What is the point of this? What is this for? And taking control and stuff. But then meanwhile, on this corner, we've got a bunch of upright cards, which together I feel like are a lot of fun. We've got Roofy. I think this is a key one. Have this very energetic monster that's just kind of dashing around, filled with energy, saying funny things, kind of yelling 1 minute, and then whispering the next, like lots of ups and downs, but very endearing and cute and energetic. And it says ride the wild on this card. I feel like that's a key thing, is just riding the wild in the moment without expectations that it's going to be so big or so grand. Because then we've got the visionary artist card, creation, bring your vision to life. Which this is a powerful artist card, but it's also a lot of pressure to be some visionary artist, bringing their vision to life, making their mark on the world. Since this is in reverse, I feel like it's not feeling like you have to make a mark. You don't have to make anything lasting. You can just have a spurt of fun and let it go. It's kind of being free from this pressure and just being able to let things go, because then we've also got the distance monk-like card, let it be, which is just, letting things be as they are. And then also, continuing this line down, the ready for action card. It's like being totally ready to do stuff, create stuff, have a ball with things, but no pressure that it has to be the greatest accomplishment ever. Just letting it happen and then end, and then it's gone. So, growth could be like being able to just make something and not care about it, in a sense, not care what happens to it, not care what it's for. Kind of freedom from any kind of pressures or beliefs that it has to be something special. It's like the ability to just have little moments of joy and just make things and put them out there. With the creative card, it could be like making things, but as opposed to it having to be your artistic masterpiece, just making your stuff that you felt like making it, putting it out there, and then just letting it be, but still being totally ready to make stuff. I feel like this is like an active, fun, almost celebratory reading. I don't know why I get so much fun vibes, but it's like the ready and roofie cards together. It's just like being ready to jump around, have fun, have a ball, be active, but just not feel like it's for anything. So you might be feeling kind of paralyzed with this feeling that, what is this for? Is it good enough? I have to take control. All of this stuff can really make you feel stuck. So the growth could look like just being free to take action by kind of not caring about it, having no pressure on yourself, but that kind of making you feel ready to just have a ball and go with it. We've also got the perception card. This is very much just seeing clear to the core of the issue with no distractions. So it's, in this sense with the reading, I feel like it's also about just letting things go, not burdening them with extra expectations or trying to see more than is really there. It's just doing something and then being done with it. It's like being very ready for action, having a really clear vision, but also not taking things to heart, and then just going with this roofy, in a sense, fun and wild energy. And then I think it could lead to creating things, but it's kind of like the creation's more of an after effect, or what do you call it, a side effect of your fun process where you don't care what comes out of it. Then that actually can create much better things than if you put all this pressure on yourself to create a masterpiece. So I feel like if you're an artist or creative person, it could be tapping into this new creative process where it's all about the process. You're ready for action, you're doing it, you're going with your wild, roofy energy, and then the creative part's just a side effect that you're just letting it be there when you're done, not necessarily that you're quote-unquote making your mark on the world. Because that making your mark on the world is kind of connected to all this other quadrant over here of having really high standards. These are actually also, I feel like, related to really high level art and creation and performance. It's like big picture, really high standards. Is this good enough? Um, and taking the lead, collecting data to be used. There's like this is kind of referring to all of these. I think this pressure to bring your vision to life is coming from all of these high standards. Where does this fit into the big picture? I have to be a leader. I have to make something with all of these skills and data I collected. So I feel like it's kind of getting through with that mindset and still creating things, but more just coming from enjoying your journey, being ready for it, and just clearly taking action and then letting the result just be there. And Rufy has so much fun energy inside. I feel like the source of all of his erratic energy is just wanting to like connect with other people and have a party and have fun. So that, when it's combined with these very powerful cards of like readiness, perception, and letting it be, and creation, that's like the recipe for a fun time and like just delight, but then just letting the delight happen and be gone, and not putting this pressure on it to build up to something or lead to something. Hope that made sense. These 9-card readings were a challenge, but I enjoyed going for it. If you enjoyed that, please leave a comment in the comments section. Let me know what you thought. Please like and subscribe to my channel. And thank you for watching. If you want to learn more about these monsters, you could check out my game Monster Garden. There's a link to it in the description section. One more interesting thing about this one is the kind of two sides to each part, because we've got the Let It Be card across from the Nihilistic Drizzy. It's kind of like, you know, reverse sides of the same thing. The Let It Be card is just taking distance, letting things be the way they are, but not being nihilistic about it. And at the corners, we've got the not feeling like you have to make your mark on the world and not feeling like you have to be the leader taking charge, combined with just this really, you know, basic, clear vision of just seeing things the way they are. None of this, like this is all about none of this extra pressure on how you perceive things, combined with the readiness, just being ready to do stuff, hop around. It's like moving without any of this pressure or burden on your actions. And then Rufy and Let It Be is really nice, because Rufy's main problem in the game when you first find him is him feeling like he has to be a certain way, kind of caving to this pressure from other people and anxiety that comes from that. But then like Rufy, just letting Rufy be is so delightful. He's like this charged up, excited monster, always worried about what does he have to do. So the prospect of just letting him be is like a recipe for a fun time. No expectations, and who knows what is going to happen, where all his energy is going to lead him to. I feel like that's the key vibe of this reading. Being freed up to take actions and go on a fun journey, have a party, and celebrate by being freed from all of these kind of oppressive expectations on your actions. This theme came up in a lot of the readings, so you might want to check out some other readings if this sounded relevant to you. And thank you. I'm going to leave the reading here, so thank you for watching this. Please like the video. If you liked it, please like it, and please subscribe to my channel. And whether you liked it or not, or found it accurate or not, please leave a comment, because I love to get those comments. And thank you. I'm going to leave it here. And there's also a link to my game Monster Garden in the description, and a link to my Patreon if you want to check those out. So thank you, and see you in the next video.